my video on there. So what I wanted to show you is hair which is more of a seamless and packed in lots of them. I would say most of my highlights I would apply in this angle. Can you see me taking that section? I'm not
Yeah.
you can see that. Yeah. So I would start, can you see right at the hairline, really fine on that angle. Yeah, sorry, this is really awkward because there's a table there at the same time. Okay, so I would weave them as you normally would, like I do like I don't do them dead on the same, they're kind of a bit random, so it looks quite natural. This is how I place mine, fold them in. I can't remember how you put yours in now. I would be probably standing in front of the client to apply this, not on the side like I am now.
Yeah,
this is proper. Yeah. This is proper awkward at this angle, but
I know. I think that's what I was doing on the dummy head as well.
It's really awkward having a table in the way, isn't it, or something that you've got them on. So they would be a bit closer than that if I was working in front of them.
Yeah.
And just try and drag some of that.
That's what I was finding.
Oh my god, it's so awkward, isn't it? So awkward. So then I'll fold that up, and there's my first one done. So it's right across their face, which once you've done a set of them, I'm going to turn her around a little bit. Ooh, see if I can move it that way. That might be a bit easier. Once you've done a set of them, you could pin them back off her face. So my next one I'm taking, because we're doing like a seamless set on her, this client, I would say, has decided to have like a really full head of blonde. Can you see the fine section? I'm going to do back to back and how fine that piece is there.
Right. Yeah.
So that's going to sit straight on top. So I'm going to weave that one out and then put that one in. Okay. I'm not going to do a whole half set and you're having to watch me through this whole thing. I'm just going to do a couple just to give you an idea.
Yeah.
And then...
You are breaking up a little bit, but
am I?
The gist of what you're saying.
Yeah, sorry. I think it's my internet. It's not the best.
Yeah, it's probably just the Wi-Fi. Yeah.
Okay, so I've got my second one in there now.
Yeah.
1, 2... So I keep going back. I'm going to do another one and then I'm going to show you what I do when I get to a little bit further on. Because I wouldn't just go straight the way, keep going straight back. I start angling them so that they start coming up like that. So what they would do is they start at the hairline there and they gradually turn to then face a straight line. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does.
If you had a compass and you put your compass point in there and you twisted round, that would, it would give you that fan shape. So gradually the foils will make a fan shape up to it straight like that. I'll just do another one and then I'll show you. I'll miss out a few and then show you the next, how it bends. It's just being aware of how you place it. And I think we do get in a bit of a rhythm with it, so you forget, until you have to sort of talk about it. You sort of got to try and remember how to describe what we're doing. Okay, so there's my next one there. So there's our next one. So we got 3 there now, coming straight from the hairline, coming up.
So 3 back to back.
Yeah, and I'd keep going up exactly the same. But what I want to show you is that it would gradually angle up. So my next section would be there. Then it would start to turn. There. Then there. Can you see what I mean? And then there. and then it will start being, the last one will end up being as if it's straight on the hairline. So they will gradually go around like that. So you could gradually go around like that and then go straight up to the parting, like how you'd finish off a traditional set of highlights. Or you would stop at a point to then bring the foils back from the hairline like you did on this one here. Did you want me to keep going to show you that angle the way they go so you get an idea, or do you know what I mean?
You can carry on if you want. It'd be good.
Yeah, you happy for me to
Yeah,
keep going?
absolutely.
So to make it a bit clearer, what you could do is you could section off this top crown bit away. Probably should have done that first so it's clear for you. So you could section that off, because that could be your bit that's coming up from the hairline. But you would carry on going up like so. So that's still alright, still see her?
Yeah.
You've got to be careful not to miss out the bit behind this ear as well, because it's quite easy to drop that down and then it gets missed. I probably would have done the back first as well. So I would have already done this back crown area. Or if I was doing a full head of foils, I would have done that whole back section. But if we're doing a full head of seamless highlights, we would generally work with two people. So one person would have been doing the back while the other one's doing the front. And you generally, the person that does the front does the whole front, and the person who does the back does the whole back, just so that they can evenly match up both sides, rather than having to explain to...
I did wonder, I was like, do you literally do half and half? Or but it is one back and one front,
Yeah, it makes sense to do that. And if I was working this side doing the front, the other person would work the opposite side. And you try and do it at a similar speed so that you would finish both sides at the same time and then switch.
Oh, so you're doing like front left and they're doing back right?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Just so that you're not on top of each other.
Yeah.
So, and gradually now, straightening up the section. Can you see that? It's gradually... it's like a pivot. That's probably the good word for it. Is it pivots round? Oh, sorry, that's my battery. There we go. Yeah, it slowly like pivots round. That's probably the best word for it. It's like all staying at this point, but the back end is pivoting round to gradually straighten up. I don't know if I can't remember how you've put your foils in. I think it's similar to this.
Yeah, that's how I put mine in.
Yeah. So we're gradually straightening out. Because if you were to go all the way back diagonally, you could do that, but you would end up with a real random piece on the end, like a little triangle at the end.
Yes.
So by doing it like this, you always have like a good mesh of hair to work with by angling. And some of this has just been self-taught. I've found that it just works over time. Just put it got on my kitchen table. I'll be told off. So now I'm starting to really straighten up that section, coming up the top. Put on there like that. The one thing I always make sure I mention to people, and you know, I'm only saying this because this is what I'm used to training apprentices. Make sure you really put a good amount of product on that hair, because I find sometimes when people do it underneath that section, you know, it doesn't always get all the way through. So make sure it's well, you know, saturized with product. And place that on. I'm only talking like this because this is what how I'm used to training.
Yeah, that's cool.
You probably know all that already, so let's put that next one in, and then I can show you how that's pivoted round. So I don't know, I haven't really looked at the camera, so I have no idea how much you can see in this.
No, I can see.
I've used 40 volt because it's got tint on this hair from you previously colouring it. I thought I'd see how that would turn out. Whack up the vol.
You'll go pinky.
Okay, nearly there. Let's just show you this one. You can see how straight it's sort of become now, because if I turn her head...
Oh, babe. Oh.
Is that the cat?
The cat's just been sick, sorry.
That's alright. Oh no. So yeah, you can see how straight that's become. Can you see? So we started at that front point and now that's turned, and now we're pretty much straight on from head to back. So it's all about that pivot, making sure it fans back. Otherwise, for one, I think what it is as well, you can get in the way of the foils behind if they're not already done, but that keeps a really straight line there as well.
Yeah.
So once you've got to that sort of point, that's the bit that those sides are done. You've got this section through the front that let's bend that way. That when you did this one here and you did your seamless going through, you worked back from the hairline. The only thing I noticed with this one, which it depends on the client, I suppose, but you've got a dark panel of their natural hair around the hairline, which is great if that's what we've talked about with the client, and that was in the consultation, that they didn't want a highlight at the front, which sometimes is good because then when they wear their hair back, it's not as obvious when it grows out because it's all mainly their natural colour. But say if they were like 70% grey, I would make sure that first was a highlight, because otherwise they're going to pull their hair back and not feel like they've had it coloured, because they feel like they still can see lots of grey.
I think I took the sections too thick, and that's at the front, and that's why it's
kind of become like as if it's missed. It might have been where you weaved it out and pulled that forward, and that's all become dark then. So I would make sure with seamless the sections have got to be super fine, and this is why we work in pairs, because they've got to be really fine to sort of to get that real seamless effect, and really packed in as well, real back to back packed in foils. So I would definitely say this is great for this client here. If she had dark hair, she wanted to make sure that she didn't want to show her highlights. But if it's someone that wants super blonde, and she was a base 7 or something, I would make sure that I was, right at the front and packing them in so they can really get that coverage around this sort of hairline.
Yeah, really pack them in.
Yeah. So what I might just swap her over actually and just borrow this one so we can see the result later. Let's whack her on there. So what I would do is I would split that. Some people's hair in a seamless set of highlights, what I've done is I've literally gone straight back from here and not bothered doing 2 foils either side, and literally just done one, made a section a width of a foil and just gone bang and back like that. But generally, if some people have got that's if they've got quite little faces and quite narrow hairlines, I generally do it like that. But this she's got a huge forehead. I wouldn't be able to do that, and she's got quite a peak in the front, so even if I took that straight across, there's going to be quite a deep section I'm going to miss, so I'm going to have to do it in 2. But there is sometimes ways of cheating a little bit and doubling it up, but I can't do it with this one. See if I can, sorry, just turn her around a minute. So she's facing me, because I would normally be facing her. So I remember years ago when I was training, they would never let you work in front of a client like this, so that they were facing you.
You had to stand
That was
behind,
kind of a rule. But these days, I think with all the new techniques, it's kind of impossible not to be like, facing them. You've kind of got to be like this angle. Otherwise, there's just no way of getting it in tight. Sorry, it's really awkward, this hairline. It's hard, I can't even get
my friend Lisa's done it at home for me in the past. She's almost like been sat on my lap at the front.
Yeah, that's it, to get him like close. That's it. I can't even take this section. It's really hard.
It is hard.
I haven't worked on a block for years. Right, let's get that back. Right. So I've got my little section, and you can see the bit that I've taken. It's probably the bit that was missed out because it's fairly dark in there, yeah? So you can see how fine it is. It's like just a veil, if anything. Some I'd even take finer if the hair was super thick, because I want to make sure that that foil is like as tight to the head as I can possibly get it. And with seamless, I would do through the top really quite fine weave too. I don't know if you can see that, quite a fine but quite tight together. Let's pop that one in. And then put that in. I make sure as well, another thing I think you've got to be aware of is when you weave it, if you're weaving to a parting, you've got to make sure that when you're doing the weave that you actually pick up, you weave in the bit that's in the parting, because a lot of people can accidentally not place that bit in, and when the hair is processed and finished and gone to, you take them out, it looks like you've got gaps because they haven't weaved that last bit in. They've kind of popped that out, so it looks like they've got like a regrowth in that section. God, this is so damn hard on it. You're right, it's really springy, that front bit in there. When you went to cut it. So I'm gonna take my next fine little section. So see it's sitting on the top there. Oops, is my next fine little bit, yeah? So I got two cameras going. It's really strange. When I'm looking at it, I'm looking at both cameras to make sure I'm showing it. I don't know how that video is going to come out, but we'll see. Might be good. It's quite handy because then I can just show it to other people if they need to.
No. It's a good video considering it's on a block.
Yeah. Right, let's get that out. At least you can't see my face. That's one thing. I made sure my face is not in it. I'm not really sort of I don't really look like I'm ready for the hairdressers at the minute. God, I don't.
Yeah, I'm not looking. I'm sort of out of bed, still in my gym jams.
Oh no, that's fine. The only reason why I'm changed is probably because I had to do the school run.
Yeah. We've become so lazy. It's stupid.
Oh, it's easy though to happen, isn't it? You haven't got to go anywhere. Like, you're not allowed to go anywhere.
We've got to get into the habit of getting up in the mornings, and we don't. It's so bad.
Oh, it'll be a shock to the system, won't it?
It will. I even set my alarm for 7 this morning. It still didn't get up. I was like, and the cat was jumping on me. She was like, "Why?" I was like, "No." Yeah.
Oh.
I think she needs to, give my face a little scratch to get me up on my foot or something.
Oh.
She needs to bite my feet and that would get me up.
Oh gosh. I'll just show you that one a minute.
Once did that. So.
That's the next. So this is how they kind of end up looking. Can you see quite? You can see the separation between there, but can you see how close that is to that hairline? It is literally on it. You know, you can't
Yeah.
get much closer, and that's what makes it a seamless, because what they mean by seamless is they you can't see where it starts or finishes, and by doing them this fine and this tight, when they move the hair from from what side to another side, it doesn't really matter. It should still lay like a perfect set of highlights no matter what part in it's in.
Yeah, so you can
Fingers
never see
crossed.
where you've been. No,
Yeah, you should. That
Yeah.
should be the case. So, you can see there. I'm probably not going to go any further because I could just keep going and it's just the same thing repeated. So exactly like you did the other day, going through the parting. But there's 3 in that point. I would say when you did it the other day, you might have done 2. So you could have squeezed in maybe another one. So you just got to make sure that there's packed in loads, one, you know, really tight, and you see a massive, with that picture I showed you, you could see like there was a massive, they build up quite high as you go along because there's so many, and this is what probably takes the most time, is working through this parting, because you put so many in really tight. So I might do 1 or 2 actually more, and then when this one is developed, what would be good, I won't do the other side because I want to show you the difference between one side and the other.
Yeah.
I think that would be good. And the same with this lovely lady too. Like, I'll show you the difference, like, in the way it looks. So you can kind of, like, see. But I would say most of our, especially our younger clientele that aren't grey, they're, like, desperately wanting to just be super blonde. Like they all do. And yeah, I would do it always like this every single time, and then they would have it toned as well to get that real clean looking blonde at the end. Yeah, there's not many clients that I would say, especially the younger ones, that wouldn't have a toner. I find these days the only people that don't have a toner is the people that have been having highlights for like forever, and they don't want to change. They just like what they're used to, and that's it. You know, you can suggest a toner and stuff, and they're like, no, I'm happy. They don't like change. They just want to be what they're, you know, how they're used to. I don't know. Is there any questions you want to ask me about any of this, or anything to do with colour or highlighting, or?
So if you're working on the parting, do you keep on doing it in like side by side sections instead of middle section? So
yeah, the only time I would do, like I said earlier, the only time I'd do it through the middle of the head, like just one. Is that what you mean? Like as if side by side or one? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. So the top. Yeah.
I would just do. I would only if the head was quite small and they had a small hairline, I would get away with just doing one strip through the middle. But generally, like this girl here, this blockhead, her forehead is massive, and there's no way you could get away with just doing one through the middle. I think it's generally finer hair and people with small heads. You can get away with doing like a section through the middle. Yeah, it's not many, to be honest, that you can cheat on. Most people.
Otherwise, like you say, the section's too wide for the forehead, isn't it? So it makes sense to do it too.
Yeah, because it needs to really go from like temple to temple, like here to here. So it needs to be going back like that. Otherwise, if you only did like this teeny section through there, can you imagine what this bit would look like? It would just look like, sorry.
Oh, hang on, your video's paused.
Sorry. it would end up sort of like looking like a Mohican section, like as if you got a different colour there to here. So you have to give it that sort of width through those sides. Otherwise, it would just look like a different panel section. And I don't think, there's not many people who'd want like that different separate bit. So that's why you've got to make sure it's a good width. But some people have got tiny heads, haven't they? And you can kind of get in there like that. But Yeah, generally. But if you're working with twos like this, in a pair, going through like this, it goes so quick. You think that, oh God, I've got so much to do, but actually, when you're working as a team, it doesn't take, it's quite enjoyable, really, chatting away. And yeah, I would find this quite daunting if I was doing this alone, like a full head. It would take a long, long time. I don't know many people that could do this, quickly. You have to sort of spend quite a bit of time going through. Like so far, I'm going to count how many foils I am and show you how far I've got. Okay, let me see. Let me just whack that one in. So far we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've got 8 foils and we've only made it to there. So you can see we're not even an inch in. Just under an inch there, and we've got 8 foils in that inch. And a lot of people would have probably been sort of traditionally right back here by that point, So you are really, really tightly placing them in. We will see the difference when it's developed. You'll see the difference from one side to the next.
I'm sure I will.
I wouldn't normally recommend a seamless set of highlights on this head though, because she's so dark. It would be like as if she'll have a regrowth in instantly, because the depth of the dark is too different, Generally, I'd make sure that they were a base 6 and above to have this sort of set of highlights, just because if your hair's too dark, you might as well, it's like having a full head tint really, because you're doing so many in such a small area. So let's put another one in there. I'm really firm as well. I'm probably quite if clients told you the truth, they'd probably tell you I was quite hard and quite rough.
That you yank the hair,
I'm not pulling out the hair, but I am really I hold it. Everything's really tight and pulled. I don't.
Make sure that it's in there and it's going to stay there.
Yeah, I don't like clients' heads that follow me. They got to kind of hold themselves.
Yeah. I always say that. I always say, pull against me.
Yeah, that's it. Like when you've got one of those round brushes that just pull. I probably am a bit rough, really. Okay, so I do
get told sometimes that I'm a bit too gentle.
Are you? Oh, you're the different. You're the other end of the spectrum.
Heads aren't, they're not fragile things. As long as you don't press hard around the temples, you can actually press quite hard. So.
Yeah, I'm the other end of the spectrum. So there's our front part so far. So loads and loads of foils there. So what you do, I want to show you actually the back section, because when you do this back section, traditional highlights, you would work from the hairline just straight up, wouldn't you? So you might start with 1 if it was narrow, and then split it into 2, and then 3, and then work up. What I sometimes do with traditional highlights is that I work from the bottom, do 1 row, then I do another row, then I do another row. But if you're working in a team and you're working with doing the seamless effect, what I would do is I'd split this hair in half. So that's the opposite to the person that you're working with, so that side. And this side would be the one I'm working with. So where I would start is I wouldn't start here at the bottom. I'd actually start on this hairline here. And I would do exactly the same as I did at the front and start working like that. And then you go 1, 2, and then angle it like this. And then you go straight up. Can you see? So when you weigh their hair up like that, they would get, this panel would be really quite blonde. They would get that really nice light effect there. But you have to make sure that you pick up the bottom when you weave it in, this bit here at the bottom, needs to make sure you always pick that into the weave, because if that gets left out, you're going to have a dark panel on the bottom.
Yeah.
So let's see if I can do it with you able to see. I don't think it's so hard to get you to see this bit. Right.
I know.
Let's see. If you were in the salon, you'd be like stood in a different angle to me, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Lost a clip. Where's my clip? I'm going to have to borrow that one, I think. Okay, so where is she? I think you can see that, can't you? Just, I don't know. Can you see me taking that section there? I'm not sure. Can you see that all right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So see where I'm starting that angle there? That would be finer though. Like that.
So from blimey, sorry, I was just clearing up.
Oh, you're right. Let's move that one.
So from the bottom of the hairline right up to the top of the ear.
Yeah, the width of a foil. So you don't want to make it too wide. That's probably a little bit too wide. Just drop a bit. Yeah. So that would be out of the way. But she's being awkward. I can't. Right. So that would be then fitted in there. I'm trying to do this the best I can with this angle. And then you would fit that foil in that angle like that. Making sure you're picking up the bottom at the same time. Yeah. This can feel really awkward when you're putting the first 2 or 3 foils in at the bottom, because you'd normally have to pump them up quite high to make sure they're at a really good height for you, because this is like back aching at the minute. Where I'm trying to lean down to the table, it is painful, and it's not, and I'm at a really weird angle, so it's really quite difficult to get that in. But normally that would be nice and tight to the hairline.
Yeah.
And then fold it in. Okay, so there's our first one. And then the next one will go obviously right next to it and just come down like that. And where you're pivoting from this time is from this top part of this foil that I put in. You start pivoting like this. So you go from there and you go all the way up to your straight and then start working up. Yeah? Does that make sense? Sorry, my battery's low. It's going to cut out in a minute. So yeah, keep going up and round. So I can do a few to show you before my battery dies. Got my clip. So next one. And what you're doing as well, you're covering quite a large area of hair instantly, straight away. It's quite a big width. You know, you're covering from bottom to sort of top, just below the ear. Yeah. And when you're doing this as well, we're sharing a trolley at the same time. So sometimes the trolley's not on the best side for you, but at one point it will be. And then we just put two brushes in the bowl to make sure you don't always be fighting over that same brush. So sometimes you forget to add that extra brush in, and you end up fighting over the same brush until someone decides to go get another brush. Okay.
Put the initial on the end of it. So
yeah, that's my one. Can you see how close that's going as well? It's really, really tight.
Yeah.
And it all comes down to straight sections, fine sections. So always make sure the section's super straight, super fine. I'm running out of bleach. Yeah, I'm going to make that my last one at the minute because I've run out of bleach. So
yeah,
and my batch is going to go. So there's that one there. So So yeah, then it's just going to pivot around. So we're going to go there. And remember, this head's in split in half at the minute. So there, and then it comes up through until we're straight there, and then work our way up. If you find, because I can't remember what's booked in for you, but if you do get a chance to watch somebody do some, then it would be really helpful. But I think if you can keep that in mind, always start those hairlines where opposite to what you know already, like here, and then that back section going up that way rather than at the bottom. It'll be perfectly fine, because there's nothing wrong with your actual placement of the foils. It's more about, not placement, like weaving and putting them in, but it's just getting that different angle to achieve a different sort of look, different effect. But other than that, I think it will work really well. It's just getting the same as everybody else if you're working together. With a normal set of, I don't want you to think, oh, we don't do traditional highlights, because we do a traditional way as well. So I want you to keep in mind that there is times where you'll still do your normal highlighting way. It's just this is a lot that we do to get that packed in effect. Cool. So is that all right, do you think?
Yeah, that's cool. That's great, thank you.
I will. I'll send you some pictures of what it turns out like when it's developed, and I'll rinse it out. So you can see like the difference between the two sides. I might video myself just showing you as well, so you can just see the sides as well. Cool.
Sure.
Well, thank you very much. And any questions, just give me a call, and I'll let you get back to your coffee.
That's all right. I've had it now.
Speak to you soon.
All right then.
Bye.